Welcome. If you're listening to this, chances are you care about staying active, or you've had a recent reminder of how quickly that can change, often due to pain. Most people don't see it coming. They're coping, carrying on, and doing what they've always done, until one ordinary moment becomes one step too far.
Welcome to the 3 Rules to Stay Active for Life. I'm Gavin Routledge, a lifestyle medicine professional, osteopath and author. And in this podcast, I'll share a few simple frameworks to help you suffer less pain and feel more confident about your current and future health. So up to now, you've seen how people come to fall off the cliff of pain or the cliff of health without warning. You're just tumbling along, and then wham, you end up in the sea of suffering. No warning. Because the truth is, the risks that push us closer to the edge build silently in the background. And without awareness, they simply go unnoticed. You probably don't lack motivation. You probably have a good idea of where you'd like to be, and you have a strong motivation to be there, but you just lacked feedback. You didn't know that you were drifting towards the edge. And so without feedback, efforts drift over time. So the cliff shows what happens when risks accumulate unnoticed. And the rules we've covered before, they give us direction, but they need feedback to really come alive, to give you that optimal value. The rules give direction when you have feedback available to you. Think of it like this. If you're driving along but you don't have a dashboard in your car, you don't know how fast you're going, you don't know what your revs are, you don't know your fuel consumption, you don't know when you're going to run out of fuel, no feedback tends to result in poorer driving than having that full dashboard available to you. And this is why awareness becomes the first essential practice. Remember that pain and breakdown in your health is fundamentally a late signal. By the time that happens, actually you've been drifting towards that edge for a long time. The patterns are well established. So pain in this sense, and whatever other symptom you may have, it's often a late symptom of what's been going on for potentially months, maybe even years. Now, there is one sort of exclusion to this, and that, particularly in the world of pain, is trauma. So you could be as far back from the edge of the cliff as possible, but one traumatic event could catapult you right out over the cliff edge and into the sea of suffering. But in the absence of trauma, it is an accumulation of risks that gradually pushes you towards the edge, completely unnoticed, because, as I said, pain and many other symptoms are a lagging signal. Think about a smoke alarm. A smoke alarm, yes, it goes off when it's all smoky, but it doesn't go off when the initial spark happens. There can be quite a delay, so by the time the room is filled with smoke or there's sufficient smoke to trigger the smoke alarm, the fire could be well underway. And that's just the way the body works, and we have to work with that. And measuring here in this context, it doesn't have to be about strict medical surveillance. We're not talking about going for a full body scan or anything as over the top as that. This is about noticing trends. We're not trying to chase numbers here, although many of my patients over the years, particularly the accountants and engineers, do love a spreadsheet, and they will track all sorts of health metrics on a spreadsheet and also behaviors. But you don't have to do that. You can look at the big picture and trends. Simple signals are often enough. Fundamentally, simple awareness often beats complex tracking. If it's complex and onerous, you're not likely to keep it up, are you? Whereas if it's simple, then it's much more sustainable in the long run. This isn't about turning your life into a series of admin tasks. So predictability, and this is a really important part, once you're able to start to predict what's going to happen, you start to regain trust in your body and in your health. So if you're measuring, raising your awareness around what's happening, you start to build an awareness and understanding of what the results are from your day-to-day activities. And that enables you to build trust, as I said, both in your health and your body. And when you feel building in trust, of course, as trust grows, fear tends to drop. And fear is a massive issue, particularly for people with pain. There are lots of people, and you may be one of them, who have fundamentally health anxiety. So that anxiety can drop if you are measuring and growing your awareness around the various elements in your life. Now, of course, it can be overdone, and that can actually add to anxiety. And we're not talking about that. We're not talking about measuring everything. Just keep it nice and simple. And remember, taking you back to the 3 rules here. Third rule, keep the end in mind. If you are not measuring progress towards or a retreat away from your long-term goals, then you don't know where you are. You don't know whether you're moving away from the cliff edge or slowly drifting back towards it. So keeping the end in mind, it's really important that you have a way of measuring your progress in one direction or the other. And then, of course, the second rule, start low and build slow. Again, you won't know if you're building slowly and sustainably if you're not measuring something. So measuring this first of the essential practices really leans into particularly those 2 rules. And as I said, confidence grows when change is visible, even when that change is gradual. And it's important that it is gradual. Remember the second rule, start low and build slow. Otherwise we end up in a boom and bust cycle. Knowing the weather forecast before leaving the house informs you what to wear. Yeah, so it's really helpful to have signals to know how to prepare yourself for the next thing coming. If you don't have those signals, if you're not measuring things, you don't know your progress, you don't know what to prepare for, and fundamentally you're living in a state of lack of awareness, which builds anxiety. So measuring as the first essential practice is really valuable at helping to reduce anxiety about your future. So the 3 rules give direction, but awareness, measuring things, shows what's actually happening. And once you can see patterns, the next question becomes, what should you be either reducing or perhaps optimizing? So staying active for life isn't about trying harder. It's just often about noticing earlier. And measurement in this sense is the first essential practice. It helps you see risk before it pushes you towards the edge again. And it helps the rules guide you over time. So I'll see you in the next episode where we'll discuss the next essential practice, which, as I mentioned earlier, is reduce. If today's episode sparked a shift in how you think about your body or your health, don't try to change everything at once. Choose one small action this week, something that nudges you towards staying active rather than avoiding discomfort. That's how confidence is rebuilt. You'll find further episodes exploring the 3 rules and the habits that matter most, not by doing more, but by doing things better. This program is provided for general information only and should not be taken as medical advice. If you have persistent or worsening symptoms, please seek appropriate medical guidance.